Well, hi everybody. Lovely to see you all this afternoon. I'm not sure whether the sun's shining where you are, but just a little bit where I am, and thank goodness it's a lot less hot, otherwise we'd all be melting into our desks and computers, I think. So lovely to speak to you. So we've spoken about what we were going to cover. We'll see how much we get done today. I'm sure that we will get sidetracked off as we start to speak as well. I'll just start at the beginning, shall I? So just for anybody who's watching who doesn't know what the Growing Club is and what it does, it's a CIC, a kick I think they call it, that designs and delivers employment opportunities and enterprise training for women, and it's based in Lancaster. It's been running since 2016, providing opportunities for lots of fabulous women to grow and thrive in business and other things in the area, and predominantly sort of over the Lancashire area, but I know it has extended beyond. And I think we've all got an experience of that, each one of us in some way, so we can talk about that a little later. But really just to get to know all of you. Ebony, Favour, Gina, Lynne, thank you very much. If we could just sort of say who we are, a little bit about what we do, what our business is, and how long we've been doing it. And then the killer question, who inspires us and why? So let me start with Gina, because she's in the top left-hand side of my screen. So we'll start with you. You can be the first victim, Gina.
Thank you very much, Jackie. So I'm Gina, and I'm the director and co-founder of Green Rose CIC. We're also a CIC, which is basically a social enterprise. And we work with families in North Lancashire to help them stay warm and well, and also to help people make their homes more sustainable. And we do that through advice, support, home visits. We have a telephone line where people can ask us for advice, and we have various projects. We're doing a pop-up project at the moment where people can come and look at green technologies and things in conjunction with Lancaster and Morecambe College. So our mission really is just to help people who may be in fuel poverty or at risk of fuel poverty, or people who might be worried about their bills, who might be considering home improvements and wondering what, where to spend or whatever. Our mission is to help those people basically. And who inspires me? I think that's a tricky one. I think I take a lot of inspiration from people around me more than kind of people who are very well known. I'm inspired by members of my family. I'm inspired by my friends. I've got quite a few friends who have started their own business and are businesswomen, and I really took inspiration from them when I was starting my own business, especially kind of going back to work after a career break to raise children. And I just kind of followed their example. And that's actually how I kind of got in with the Growing Club, because some of my friends had done their courses before. So that's really me.
How long have you been running Green Rose?
So we started in January of 2020. Obviously, we didn't know that we were about to be kind of immersed in a pandemic, and this is really our first year of sort of operating normally without some of the restrictions. For example, some of our work is to do with home visits. Obviously during COVID we wouldn't visit anybody in their home, so we had to kind of quickly readjust to doing things over the phone, doing things over the computer, getting some projects together that we could do remotely. So yeah, we're quite a young organization, but I feel like we're just this year, with all the interest in home energy and with prices going up and everything, we've, people suddenly, everybody wants to be our best friend. So,
absolute baptism by fire for you at the moment, isn't it?
So it definitely feels like we're sort of growing exponentially just at this moment. So it's quite a pivotal moment for us.
Well, thank goodness you're there.
Yeah.
Lynne, hello. Tell us about yourself.
Hello. Yes, so my name is Lynne. I run a coaching service called Miss Overcomer. So my expertise is resilience. I work with women who have faced adversity and are finding it difficult to move on from there to a goal and a place to where they want to flourish, where they need to flourish. So that's where they enlist me. I come and we journey along together to, it's really taking helping to empower them to realize that, you know what, the way you feel now is not the way that you always feel. It's just because you are in a pit at the moment, so that's why it feels everything like it's so difficult, or there's hopelessness. So we just come together, journey, find that hope again, find that power, and find that courage and encouragement to just take the steps to get to the place where they are the person that we're created to be. So I do that online, and I'm starting to do group work as well.
So you can cover any area, really. You can reach out to anybody anywhere, really, can you?
Yes. That's the advantage of it, that online I've got clients from all over the world. Some of them I may never see face to face, but it's an enriching experience. Yes. And who inspires me? All right. Yes. So when I saw your notes, I was thinking about that. Who inspires me? I don't have a famous person that inspires me, but one person that has inspired me for many, many years, ever since he was a little boy, is my son. He is just a joy. I mean, he's 22 now, and his go-getting attitude. We've been through so much. I mean, Miss Overcomer was born out of my own experience of needing to overcome an abusive marriage. So we've journeyed through all that together. And just to see him flourish and see him growing up to be a fine young man who's got his head on screwed right is an encouragement to me.
That's brilliant. Now watch it, because Ebony knows how quickly I cry. So
yeah.
I love that story. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ebony, over
Hi,
to you.
Jackie. Nice to see you again, and you all. Yeah, so I'm Ebony from Rose Tinted Financial Services. I founded it actually out of my own personal struggle with debt and all sorts of mental health, to be honest. And it's interesting because I have a background in mental health, and for a long time didn't know kind of what I was experiencing. And I found that there was that real intricate relationship between money management and mental health. It wasn't that you didn't, people didn't know what to do. It was just managing the two at the alongside. Actually, it's a whole job within itself. So that's where Rose Tinted Financial Services was born out of. We're predominantly women-focused business with our events, and we have like a huge project coming up at the moment. It's going to be amazing, online and in person. And it's all about overall well-being. So financial will always be the center of everything. But we're aware like that actually the physical, the mental, emotional, and we do everything with a personal approach. I'd say we're just as good as some of the financial support services exist out there, but perhaps that extra edge because we are aware of the factors, or we take into account the other factors that are playing a part. And I was just trying to think about sort of what inspires me. That I have many inspirations, but actually at my time when I was at my lowest point, I have to sort of, a bit like Lynn there, my daughter's birth actually really did give me that kick to say, look, her life might not have started the best, but I can choose how I do the middle and the end of like our journey together. And it's been a rocky road, but I'm still trying to inspire, and gosh, to be honest, she inspires me. And there have been other sort of influencers, such as, I don't know if heard of David Goggins, his story Can't Hurt Me, that changed my life. And of course my favorite book, the Bible. So thank you, that's me.
Thank you. Yes, I just was lucky enough to do one of the Growing Club courses with Ebony, and I think there was numbers in the title, wasn't it? And I thought I was going to learn to count, but what I came away with was the connection between you saying your emotions and your money, and just amazing the things that she enables you to see. So yes, thank you. Favour, would you like to tell us about yourself and your business?
Yes, indeed. Lovely to meet everyone again. My name is Favour. I'm the founder of a company called Talent Brand. Talent Brand was launched in 2018. And the mission of Talent Brand is to help mostly women to identify their genius zone and use that to create a perfect niche that they can actually project and sell at any price they want because it's unique to them. And the reason why Talent Brand was launched was a couple of years when I relocated to the UK. I realized I needed more money. My 9 to 5 wasn't giving me the kind of lifestyle that I really desire. And I tried so many businesses, it didn't really work. And I wasn't having that inner satisfaction. So I invested in myself, in personal development. I got a coach, I got mentors, and I found out reasons why I was failing in establishing a business, because prior to my relocating to the UK, I had a business that was flourishing in Nigeria, which is another story for another day. And so I decided to develop myself, to work on myself, to now build a business that really replicates me and that brings internal satisfaction. And that was how Talent Brand was born. And what Talent Brand does is to support individuals, probably some that already have a business, but the foundation was wrong, which was what happened to me, where I thought, I'm so passionate about helping these people. I just want to help these people. Whereas I didn't do enough research. I didn't do much in-depth research into what do my customer actually need? What do they want? It's not just what I want to offer. So that journey of self-discovery, not just giving what they want, but what is within my genius zone, what I'm really most comfortable, my expertise that I can use, which means I'm really doing what I enjoy with no struggle, and giving value, adding value to the economy, and being happy with myself. And that is basically what Talent Brand does. We work with both startups and those who already have a business. In terms of what inspires me, I think the person that inspired me was my aunt who brought me up. I lost my mom at the age of 7. And one word that she has always said to me is that it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter who you are, you can still do something with what you have. And that is what Talent Brand is based on. So when I work with these women, one of my customers who sell accessories, and she complained that she's not been selling, she's had website and it's not working. And what we got to do was to review the model. And we have to change some of the products, get rid of some of them, recreate new ones to something that is unique, not what is common, so that she can be placed in a unique market and, sell something unique that people really want. So that is what Talent Brand is based on, and that is where my inspiration comes from. Making use of what you already have and to give value.
Some really great messages in there. So I'm sure there's a lot of A-level students across the country today that could really do with that message about making something with who you are. Yeah, a few of my friends have had a difficult time today with their children and said there's always a plan B. It doesn't stop here, it just starts. So yeah, thanks for that message, particularly poignant today, I think, for many. Yeah, and that sense of value as well, it's something that the Growing Club promotes, working and being happy with something that you're doing and something that gives you value. I think so often we sort of underestimate our value as women. To doing something that brings us a decent income and that we're happy with doing. But some great work going on there. Thank you, really inspirational and inspiring stuff already. So just if you'd like to sort of say how we're connected with the Growing Club, and then we'll just talk a bit about why we're here together today, because it's Black Business Month today, so I'll say a little bit more about that, and to talk about personal experiences of being a Black woman in business. So quickly just to go around the table or the screen again to say how you connected with the Growing Club. Favour, I'm going to start with you this time. I'm going to go the opposite way around the screen.
Yeah, I came across a Growing Club online, I think, and I connected with them. And I shared, I offer to support in any way I can be of help. I always love to give, And they were like, oh, you can mentor. I'm like, wait, why not? So that was how I got started. And I've been with Growing Club for over 1 year now to be part of the mentors scheme. And that's my connection with them.
Ebony?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to be on a course with Jane, and we got caught, talking, realized there was a lot of connection, morals and values. And then, yeah, I've done some work with the Growing Club, which has been amazing. And I hope we will definitely do some more in the future.
I hope so. Gina?
So a friend of mine actually did the Bloom and Grow course a few years ago. And at the time I wasn't running my own business, but then once I started Green Rose, I saw something come up, maybe it was on Facebook or, over email or something, advertising the Bloom and Grow course, which is the course for women who've been in business for a year or more. And I just thought I was at a point where I think probably all of us might have been feeling like this. Sort of after lockdown, I'd been distance learning or homeschooling my children, trying to work, trying to grow my business. If you all kind of remember that third lockdown just after Christmas when the weather was really terrible and, you couldn't kind of go out of the house, and I was kind of rushing between my children, and my children are different ages, so I was kind of rushing between the two of them, trying to homeschool and then trying to get my work done on top of it. And sort of come the summer, I just felt really burnt out. And the summer is normally my kind of less busy period, because usually, not so much this year, because it's been in the news a lot, but usually summer is quite quiet because people have got their heating off, they're not really thinking about home energy, etc. And it's normally the time where I used to think creatively about my business, to business plan, etc. And I just felt so exhausted. I felt so kind of lacking in motivation, and so kind of burnt out, because it had such a kind of busy spring and not very fulfilling one, because it had been a lot of kind of rushing around. And so I saw it come up and I thought, maybe that's what I need to sort of put some energy back into myself and some focus back into the business, start thinking more creatively. So I've been on that course now. It's actually the graduation of that course next month. And Jen has also asked me to join her team of trainers. So hopefully I'll be doing some of the training on the next course. So that's my connection with the Growing Club.
Thank you. Lynne?
Yeah, so in 2019, I published a book and then launched my business. So I was very isolated, and I launched, but I felt like, okay, I know that there's something that I need to be doing, but I don't know what it is. So I just Googled, I'm not sure what I Googled, but then Growing Club came up, and I just thought, oh my goodness, it's just an hour away from me, meeting with like-minded women who want to launch into business. So that's Roots and Shoots, launching into business. So I thought, this is exactly what I need. Other women, getting together and just not feeling as lonely and as isolated. So yeah, that's where my journey with Growing Club started. And I'm glad that I did do it, because I don't know where I'll be now, because I was just such in an isolated place. I had all these ideas, but not knowing what comes before what, or what should be done first. So having that structure as well, and having people journeying together in that same direction was such a help.
Thank you. I've just realised I've listened to all you wonderful women, and actually for once in my life forgotten to say anything about me. So just very quickly about me. I run a PR and communications agency called Marzipan PR, based in Lancaster. I've been doing that since 2017. I work with smaller SMEs and large companies across the UK. I came to doing that after I'd been made redundant twice in 4 years, and I thought, I'm not doing that again. I was at rock bottom, sort of confidence-wise, professionally. Getting older, I didn't know sort of what to do really in terms of a job, so decided I was going to set up my own business. did that alongside a part-time job for a number of years. And my link with the Growing Club is very much like all of you. I think I found it online, and they've been very helpful in keeping me sort of contacted with other lovely humans across my business journey, especially during COVID, inspiring me, keeping me going. And then this year I was lucky enough to be invited to be a director by Jane, very much in the early stages of that. I'm not quite sure what that means yet, but I'm delighted to be doing it, and I'm sure that I will learn and hopefully contribute a lot to the organisation. So thank you. So so Black Business Month. I didn't know there was a Black Business Month. Apparently there is in the United States, and it's been going since 2004 and was established by somebody called John William Templeton, who was a scholarly author and publisher. And his intention when he did this was to drive policy and agenda affecting 2.6 million African American businesses. He was inspired by his own experience of struggle to gain financial backing when he began his own business journey in 1969. So Googling that, I then found, and I don't know how many of the rest of you know, you may be more enlightened than me, that there is actually a Black Business Month in the UK, which is going to be in October this year. Now, I suspect it's the first, as I can't find anything sort of previous to it, and that's going to be in London, and there's going to be a Black Business Show, and that's Saturday the 22nd of October in Islington in London. So that's what Black Business Month is, and that inspired Jane and the Growing Club to bring the whole sort of aspect of Black business women, who we are, what we do, how we relate to each other, how we contribute to the economy, and to highlight it. So here we are for a chat. And I don't know whether we might rerun this again in October, maybe, when it's the official UK Black Business Month. So really sort of some of the things that I'd like to talk about very much from your personal experience is about why you got started, how you got started, and really what has helped or what has maybe got in the way of your business journey. How you think that as a society we can help other Black women in business, how we as business women can contribute to that, and anything else that comes up really. So shall we start about how and why you decided to, we've touched on this a little bit, why you decided to start your business and how it was as a Black woman in business, finding support and people's sort of attitude towards you, positives, negatives, and how you sort of worked with that. Anybody that'd like to start?
I'm happy to start if you want.
Thank you, that's great, yes, thanks.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned quickly when I spoke about, introduced myself, why I started was that from the fact that I went through that journey, and I just had believed that many women out there, especially women of color, will be having similar problem, you know, similar challenge where we really want to do something. We really have passion, we really have idea to really offer something, but we don't know how to start, where to start, as you rightly mentioned. And it was from that experience that I started Talent Brand. And what has worked well has been because I personally chose to invest in myself. And it's not everybody who has that capability. From my experience, what I've seen that has been challenges is that even people who would need such help, they don't have the finance. Talent Brand is not a non-for-profit organization. So I charge for my coaching, for my one-to-one coaching, my group coaching, my online courses. So some of them, they need the help, but they can't afford it. Some local resources that are available, they are not the kind of resources that can help. I mean, I actually made inquiry within my area. I'm from Kent, and I was wondering whether there are kind of organization like Growing Club, because this is the kind of thing I would love to do if there is funding to help people, get people to have mentors that can really add value. Because when, when something is coming as free, you can hardly get the best out of it, if you know what I mean. But when government is able to fund it and they say, hey, get a coach, if you want to start a business or you already started a business, you need help. Here's a coach, we are funding it for you. And the person is right there with you, giving you all the help. The person is challenging you, helping you to get through. I think it will make huge difference. This wasn't available for me, but because I was able to okay, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to invest in my business. For the first 2-3 years, I've been funding the business with my personal money. So it's not everybody who has that capability. And in terms of acceptance, whether, running a business as a Black woman, whether my fellow Black women are actually accepting me is one thing, and whether other women or other people from other races actually accepting me is another thing. So again, it's around credibility. People want to trade with somebody they can trust. But again, if you do not have the right fund to market yourself, to promote yourself, to have the right processes in place, how can you gain that credibility? It takes somebody who is really ready to say, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I will be on social media all the time. I will give value, even if it's not government funded. I mean, even though Talent Brand is not charity, I still run a lot of free workshops. I support local community in my area to do program for business women and entrepreneurs. So these are kind of challenges that I think has come my way. And another thing is funding, which I think I've mentioned lightly. Funding is really, really key, whether in terms of loan, government funding is really, really hard to want to get, funding to support the mission, because it's whatever it is you want to do, whether in terms of marketing, whether in terms of automation processes, we need money to do it. And it means I can only use whatever I have. And so there's a limit to the reach where I can reach. So these are the things that has worked well. But what has worked well for me actually is the fact that I'm getting positive feedback from people. To me, it's more about how much impact I can make than how much money I can make. To me, that gives me that fulfillment, that gives me joy. I mean, during the lockdown, I worked with at least 4 women. They launched their business within the first lockdown. I started online workshop before the pandemic, actually. Funny enough, I will hire expensive hotel to do workshop, get people to get tickets, but because some of them can't afford it, only few people will turn up. So when the pandemic happened, we started online, which is cheaper for me. Some of them, I run one free, one paid, £5, £10, and it really became really popular. And that really gave that credibility and exposure and some acceptance as well. So yeah, so funding is really important. And this is an area that if I have the opportunity where to say, hey, Talent Brand will help you, not only to discover the kind of business you could do, help you to source the right funding that can help you to deliver your mission, to add value to the economy. I'm sure everybody yeah, where is it? Let's go, So it's one area that I think is really, really, important. And also for the right resources, mentoring, coaching, information about how do I do it? I want to start a business. Do I want to do the kind of mission I want to deliver? Is it under limited liability company? Is it under CIC? Is it under, non-for-profit organization? What do I need to do? Do I need a solicitor? Do I need an accountant? How do I prepare my budget? I'm an accountant professional, by the way. You know, how do I prepare my budget, my forecast for the business? How do I forecast my marketing cost? You know, so this information, if they are available, then it will be easy for people to say, yes, I think I have an idea. You know, help me out. I'll keep quiet for now.
If you're looking at research, and there is quite a bit of research that exists on Black businesses. There's quite a bit of research that exists on women in business, but there's very little that exists on Black women in business. So it was a little bit sort of restricted by what I could find, but I did find something that from 2020 called the Black Report that actually was quite revealing about funding or lack of it for Black businesses. Just 26% received venture capital, only 23% received grant funding. Out of those businesses, more than a quarter were funded by Black investors. And when you compare that against a lot of sort of white-owned, white-founded businesses, that matches quite poorly. And there is also, with sort of white-founded businesses, quite a lot of startup support through inherited wealth as well. So I did find that very, very revealing, and I think you're absolutely right. It's key to empowerment, to let people know how and where they can source that, to increase that level of funding, and also to give people the confidence to show them that they can go out and get that funding. So that's very, very insightful. Thank you. Does anybody else want to talk? Ebony, thank you.
Yeah, it was just what you said as about the report, about like the inherited wealth, and what was the last thing you just said? Sorry. I think it was on funding. So yeah, couldn't help but jump on the finances, my finance brain. But I think also, like, I think not just in the Black community, but I'm going to talk about it, particularly that, because that's what, you know, we're here to do today. I think there's a lack of knowledge around sort of good and bad debt, and that idea that, because I think if you're doing a series soon called I Don't Have a Trust Fund, and like when you don't come from an affluent background, where there's money waiting for you and you're 16 or for whatever, you need to be able to have access to capital. And that's where things like credit scores and, you know, and sadly I learned the hard way in that. So there was a debt I had, I think it was like a £300 phone bill that literally changed my life for 6 whole years. And I think that's where, like, I would say it goes down to kind of like, even in the schools, I'm a maths teacher as well, and like what I always used to do is try and make things relevant to sort of actual real life. I think maths itself is quite an abstract subject unless you go on to do something particular in it, but actually I could have done with so much more guidance from a younger age, you know, because it's interesting, like all the Black women around me, their work ethic was just what I like to call beast. Like they were just strong, relentless, you know, powerful. But it was like that financial literacy was just lacking in terms of going to that level of generational wealth. So I think, yeah, definitely more education, because I think in the Black community, I think that entrepreneurial spirit, that leader spirit is there, it's innate in us, I would argue, because I think coming from a place of struggle, it's that kind of, well, do or die, you've got to kind of fight or flight to survive. So in my experience, I always saw that. But yeah, so I think structural wise, like I think that's where schools leave us kind of all at a disadvantage. But then if, like, for instance, people I met when I was training, my nice friend, Irish girl, and she introduced me to a lot of concepts that I wasn't aware of. She was what I would call like a middle class, kind of maybe just a little bit above, and it wasn't that we were both educated at the same level, but her parents had access to information that I didn't have access to. But that's what I love about like for me, like my race is a factor in what I do, but I'm a woman first. And I love that when we come together as women and we have conversations amongst different women of colour as well, I think that's where our power comes, because that was where I learned, and I was in those rooms. And you know, I have been in like rooms with men, and it's interesting, like even within like the 6 organization thing that we do, like they don't realize that they do it, but you can see that kind of man bonding, and we have it as well as women. But I think if we as women can be more together and share more, I think from my experience, I actually, yeah, I've just kind of just walked by faith in it, and I've found that I have got funding. I have been knocked back by funding as well, but I think it's not being funding reliant and dependent, even as a kick, and trying to kick down those doors that you know, like you report, the Black report you just say, Jackie, that says that we're not going to have these successful businesses. I think we have to kind of just go boldly and be open to even challenging some of those figures and going against them. I found that that's always worked for me in business, like even setting up just pre-COVID myself, October 2019, so many businesses around me were crumbling, but that tenacity, that support though, as well, as Favour mentioned, like I was lucky to get grant and mentoring, and it was from a woman, British woman, but she was all women. So I just, yeah, I think the more we connect together, the better it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly when you talk about Black women in business beasting the work ethic, absolutely. Again, another useless statistic that I found is that with the Black founders and the Black business report, typical working weeks, 56 hours on average, 20 hours longer than standard full-time contracts. Those are working part-time work almost 5 full working days on the startup, and that's also balancing that demand with 1/5 of the founders having 1 or 2 children each. So yeah, absolutely, there's certainly nothing wrong with work ethic, as you say. It's that access to funding. What do you think would give Black women in business the confidence to actually go ahead and look for that funding? How can we make women more confident? I know you've talked about sort of sharing and making information more accessible. Is there anything else that you can think of that would give women the confidence to go and get that funding? And I guess a lot of it is that they're not seeing other women doing it. Yeah, but what do you think we could do to give those women, to give women more confidence to go and get the money that they need to start their businesses?
Well, I think initially it's because I haven't faced any of those racial barriers. Everyone I've worked with and who's worked with me has been really open, just seeing me as Lynn, not Lynn, the Black lady. It's just as a woman. So I think first, initially, is switching, coming out of that mindset that because I'm Black, I may be turned down. So that's a defeatist, starting the defeatist already, thinking that being Black is being at a disadvantage. So I think when we begin to change that mindset, that, you know what, I've got a vision, this is my vision, this is the goal, I've got a good idea I want to launch into, and go with that. I've got something to offer, I've got something of value to offer, I've got impact that I want to make, then, oh, I'm a Black person, I may not get this. So I think just initially just changing that mindset and coming to a more empowered mindset will make a world of a difference.
Thank you. Gina, is there anything you want to say about your experience of starting up the business? Anything that's got in your way? Anything that's helped you along the way that's could inspire or help other women?
I think my business, obviously starting as a not-for-profit, and in the sector I work in, you know, luckily I didn't need a lot of startup capital. I was able to set up my business because there was an opportunity to be the service delivery partner for a national scheme. And so, as I said, I just needed to kind of train myself get my equipment together, and then kind of grow the business from there. So I was lucky that I didn't really need to go to anybody for a lot of funding. I think what's interesting about the field that I work in is that there's a lot of what I actually do and what we offer at Green Rose is actually a lot more like some of the sectors where you would traditionally see women, and traditionally see women of color, the kind of caring professions, social work, you know, nursing, teaching, in that we offer a very sort of nurturing approach, a very supportive approach. But because we work in home energy, there's a perception of it being a kind of, when I sort of turn up at people's houses, they're like, oh, I thought you'd be a man. And within that, I think, I thought you would be a white man. And so it's a kind of interesting kind of take on things that I'm trying to bring, perhaps that history or that tradition of the sort of nurturing and caring and listening to an industry which in the past has been seen as more technical. Like at Green Rose, we don't turn up at your house and, you know, immediately start climbing a ladder or looking into your loft or whatever. We talk to you, we try and nurture you, and we try and bring kind of that supportive idea to things, you know, rather than just a very kind of technical approach, a very, you know, material or functional driven approach, which is maybe, you know, when people think an advisor is going to come to their house, they kind of think of a, you know, a person who's going to turn up in a white van and, you know, going to start kind of looking at things and tinkering with things or whatever. So it has been a kind of different, you know, a different perspective to try and bring onto things. I think in terms of wanting to start my own business, I think one of the reasons I wanted to start up is that I did want to be more independent, and I didn't want to kind of face some of the situations I faced before. I mean, I'm very lucky. I've always worked in the charity sector or the public sector or the not-for-profit sector, where I think people generally are, you know, clued up about diversity, and, you know, you don't sort of get some of those negative experiences that people I know have been through. But just in general, I kind of, in my kind of pre-children career, I found myself kind of hitting a glass ceiling, and I just thought, I don't want to be dependent on other people's perceptions of me in the same way. I don't want my working life to be kind of constrained. I want to make my own path because I know what I can do, and I don't want to be kind of constantly asking people for an opportunity if there's a way to create it for myself.
How important do you think it is to have role models, so like yourself, in an industry where you wouldn't normally expect to see women, let alone sort of black women doing the job, because there are a lot of black business women running, as you said, businesses in care, social care, e-commerce, retail, but there aren't a lot of women doing it in digital businesses. There aren't a lot of women that are doing it in STEM. So how important is it to have those role models?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I think it just puts you at a kind of ease when you look at something and you see a person doing it who you can identify with. I think it gives you a lot of confidence, and it makes you be able to picture yourself in a similar situation. Whereas I think sometimes, even without really realizing it, we turn away from things because we can't picture ourselves. Or I had a friend, you know, we were sort of chatting about university and, you know, our lives previously to meeting, whatever. And she had studied architecture at university. And she said that somehow she never really got that, she never pictured herself working professionally as an architect. And it was only sort of after the course was over and she'd chosen a different path that she thought, well, all the lecturers were men, all the people who came in to talk to us were men, all the architects that we studied were men. And she hadn't thought about it like that when she was there, but it had just given her that impression that really there wasn't a space for her in that field. And without sort of making that conscious decision, she had just not felt at ease and had looked to, you know, other aspects of design and whatever, where probably women were more visible in those roles. So I think it does make a big difference. I think it does just sort of help people see themselves and feel at ease in a certain field or in a certain situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to just add to that. There's a teacher that I can remember now, and I went to college, and she was the head of the course I was doing, and I remember being like, whoa, there's a Black lady, she's the head, and she was just, you know, she was just integral, she was poised, everything about her. And it's funny, like, me and my really good friend, we still talk about it to this day, and I think it really changed our stratosphere of what we thought we could achieve in life, because it was the first time we'd ever seen in real life. Because I think you can see things on the TV, and that, you know, in America, I'd say they're a lot more perhaps further forward in the race debates, perhaps. I don't know, who knows, actually that could be the opposite. But like, seeing it in your face, for me as a 16-year-old girl, that really did change my life. So yeah, sorry that Gina just jogged that thought.
Yeah. That's all right. For myself, it was just after I've launched Miss Overcomer. She's an English lady, but she's come through 20 years ago. She was a manager at BAE. She was the only woman and in a top position and having to manage men. So she told me her story, and I was like, what? And she says that the more kick and pushback she got, the more she dug her heels in. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so incredible. So starting on my own journey, that just inspired me that, you know, if someone can kick their heels in an environment that's literally spitting you out, they don't want you there, not many people want you there, and you're still kicking your heels in, you know, I can find my own kicking my heels in when times get tough as well. So yeah, I was really inspired by her story, and I think we can inspire without knowing. I mean, Ebony, you talk about your teacher, she was so poised, and that's how much you looked up to her. Someone is looking up to you right now. They're thinking, oh, Ebony, you know, wow, just look at her. And I just think of that, of all of us women in business, that there is someone watching, that there is someone who is just looking at how we handle ourselves, and they're going to be one day speaking about, you know, I really like the way so and so did that, and then unknowingly we inspire others as well.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? And as you say, it's putting yourself out there to be that one that inspires. I know in the area of work that I'm in is facilities management, which is construction, building, cleaning, security, and so many events I've walked into being one of the very few females, but the only non-white female. Like you were saying, Lynn, you can run out of there, or you can say, I'm here, deal with me. So yeah, it's so important, and I've noticed that change over the years, but it's still got a long way to go, certainly in the area that I'm working in. Yeah, so we were talking about, I think it was you that mentioned, Favour, about community acceptance and how valuable you'd found that. What can we do to sort of encourage more community acceptance of Black businesses through local business organisations? I'm thinking perhaps the small business chambers of commerce, and even sort of local organisations that work with young Black people. Is there more that we can do to encourage Black business amongst younger generations, to show them that it's an option, a career option? Anybody got any experience of sort of the lack of that, or that being a support, or any areas where you think there could be more support?
I think generally, some of what we've mentioned is that, you know, I think it was Ebony who mentioned it, you know, as a Black woman, you know, there's that mindset of, I will not be accepted. It is not me, it is not meant for somebody like me. I think that is a foundational root which needs to be dealt with, start with. Because it also means that even when there is an opportunity, we cannot see that opportunity. And so that foundational root needs to be corrected. And one of the ways I think could be corrected is education. And that education needs to be positioned in the sense that, so say within a borough, these days things are changing. So when some organization put adverts out for job, they will put a note there. We are highly recommending the BAME community to apply for this job. You see, that note alone make a difference. Somebody who have read the job description, like, no, I don't think so. The moment they see that comment, that clause, they're like, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. So if, for instance, in a borough, there is a funding available and there is a priority given to a certain race or certain sex, or, you know, and it's mentioned there, and there is also probably a channel at which those group of people will be aware of it, I think that will help. I think that will help. And I think Ebony mentioned about, you know, the education is really, really key in sense of even getting funding. You know, some of us, you know, there's no credit rating, some are afraid, some don't have. Majority of Black women would not on a good day go and take a loan. They wouldn't. They will be so afraid that, no, I don't want to be in debt. They can't differentiate why it is important that how you can get funding to start your business. So that, I think that education is very, very key, and that education needs to be accessible and available.
Yeah.
The same message, we need to do more in schools.
Yes, definitely. I was thinking educational level at the school level, because it was a few months ago, my son, he said, oh, Mom, I wish I learned what I know now about money in school. We should have been learning these things in school. Because last year he came to us, I'm remarried now, he came to us and he says, Mom, I want to apply for this loan, and can you be my guarantor? And I was like, no way. If you can't afford it now, save up for it. When you've got the money, then you get whatever. And then it was like, oh, and then he went around. I'm not sure how he got it though. He got the loan, and he came back to me and says, oh, Mom, I'm going to repay every month. It's good debt. It's good debt. So he was going through all these stats of explaining how it's good debt. And at the end, could he make the repayments every month? No, we had to kind of bail him out. So he had to have his own journey of his relationship with money, and how, you know, just because someone says it's good debt, it's how is your relationship with money? How do you handle money? What's your take on it? So now he's learned that. So I think really starting from in schools about, yes, there's more to life. You can launch your own business. You can. This isn't the one way that high school, college, university anymore. There's so many more avenues you can travel to get to your destination. But there's also that, you know what, you need to be financially astute. You need to be aware of what you're getting into when you want to go and apply for a loan. So now he's doing well, but he's learned his lesson, and he says never again. So that's good.
How those skills apply to life is so important, as you were saying, Ed, because my daughter's 23, a similar age, and she's saying exactly the same thing. I don't understand about a mortgage. I don't understand about why didn't they teach me this in school instead of the stuff that I don't need. So yeah, absolutely, very important. Ebony, do you have anything? I know you've already touched on that to add.
Yeah, just to second that, and I actually think it would be relatively small changes in the school system, because there's a lot of things, for instance, percentages. You just mentioned mortgages, Jackie, like that we could look at, okay, what does it mean? Like I literally had a conversation with someone today and it was like 6.5%. Like to a lot of people that doesn't mean anything, but you might have sat in a classroom and worked out what 1% means, but it's just going that extra level. That I think I did mention class before, like it keeps coming up in my mind. I think there's slight class differences even within race. So like meeting people again, like, and meeting more Black business owners now, I'm realizing that there is that difference in what they would have experienced coming from certain backgrounds as well. So I think, yeah, like the level of education, but not like the school is one, but then bit political here. But I think as parents, I think because a lot of the time generationally it's like, okay, we just need to work to get money, it's like at home we're not having them conversations either. So you know, like I learned the hard way, like the children that you're describing as well, like, but I actually think there's strength in learning the hard way, because I think you can, as a parent, you can go down that road of like going on, and you knew, Lynn, probably what he was going to do, but I think you have to trip sometimes to find out, like, actually, like, this is real, this is for yourself. And I think this generation, like, I think they're ready for it. Like, oh my gosh, like they're so woke, aren't they? Like in terms of the things that the concept. So yeah, I think it's just opening up, and it would be great if government could actually back it, because that's when you get that real kind of across the board changes. So that's something that organisationally we're fighting for. Maybe we can all band together and make the changes, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Band together to make the changes is a fantastic message. Thank you, Ebony. So we've talked for almost an hour now, which seems to be far shorter in my head. It's been so fascinating to listen to your experiences. Are there any sort of last messages you'd like to give to any young Black woman, or anybody else who's thinking of starting up their own business? Any inspiration, any cautions, any?
I think my thing for really anybody, any young person, but I think especially those who come from underrepresented groups, is look for mentors. People will likely be happy to help, and you'll find that somebody has walked this path, and maybe your path won't be exactly the same as theirs, but they can certainly show you kind of the right direction to go in, the things to think about, give you advice. You know, I think sometimes people feel shy to ask, or lacking self-conscious, lacking in confidence or whatever, to approach people. It feels like maybe you're asking a lot, but I think it's really important to get a mentor. If you're unsure of you know, where to go or what path to go to, write to somebody that you've seen that's conspicuous, or try and find an organization that puts people in touch with mentors. It really can boost you up.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can amen that. Favour has walked a journey with me as well, filled in my own gaps. So I'm really appreciative of that. Thank you, Favour.
I think I just had to what Gina said. I mean, I coordinated a workshop for some youth sometimes ago in a small group, and one of the things we did was for them to learn about money, and also to use what they already have. You know, sometimes some of them, they go to the uni to study something that they don't really like, you know, and some of them were actually, they've been rejected right from secondary school because they are not, you know, they are not doing well academically, whereas they got strengths in other areas that could be built on, that they could leverage. And so what we did was for them to come up with what they really enjoy to do. So it was a 1-month workshop, and within 1 month, we taught them what to do, how to sell their products, how to create their products. So each one of them creates products, which don't necessarily mean, you know, a big one, but they created something out of their passions. Someone baked cake, someone created like personalized shirt that way she can write on. She has a vision. And what that does is that, in fact, one of them shared the testimony that I think she has a plan to go to the university to study social care, and she didn't realize she could do something else, like supporting people, you know, with what she's going to learn in the university. So really is to encourage them to start with what they already have, what they are comfortable with, to start from their comfort place. What do you currently have? What do you currently know how to do? Start from there. and use your knowledge from the uni, from the secondary school to back it up. And we'll be amazed what they can do, what changes they can bring to the society.
Thank you. Well, thank you very, very much for your time this afternoon, everybody. It's been absolutely fascinating to listen to you. If anybody wants to get in touch with any of the people on the session here, I think you're all on LinkedIn, aren't you? Or if you want any contact details, I'm sure that if you email the Growing Club, that we'll be able to put you in touch with these wonderful women and their wonderful businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for the opportunity, Jackie.
Lovely to meet you all. And,
lovely to meet you. Ladies.
Hopefully I'll meet you all in person at some point.
Yes, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Yes, bye.